to those to always be mindful that you always care for us and encourage us. Thank you, Father. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm good.
You gonna work tonight? First time. Thank you. You call the roll, please, Bob.
Councilmember Simmons.
Here.
Councilmember Bradley.
Present.
Councilmember Eubanks. Absent. Councilmember Edwards.
Here.
Councilmember Betterton.
Here.
Council President Jordan.
Here.
Mr. President, we have 5 council members in attendance and therefore a quorum is present.
Thank you, Bob. Do I hear a motion that we approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bethel, second by Mr. Edwards. All in favor of the motion?
5-0, motion carries.
Can we have a message from Mayor Holton?
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, everyone.
Is that better? I was at the other microphone. I've said all I know to say this evening, except I want to personally address the Florence Police Department, Florence Fire and Rescue, for you men and women who serve us every day. It's a privilege and a pleasure for us to get to do something. Hopefully that will make life better for you all. God bless each one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Do we have any department heads in this section? In the center, in this section. Now we'll have reports from standing committees.
The Utilities Committee met on January 8th. Those present were Dick Jordan, Richard Morrissey, Martha Murphy, Mayor Holt, Michelle Eubanks, Chip Rash, and myself. Richard Morrissey explained to the committee that after the September meeting, where he was tasked to reevaluate the bids, he has tried to validate the way he was writing the specifications. Instead of a 3-year contract for the entire circuit, he specified a 1-year contract and broke the circuit into 11 separate parcels. He received 2 bids, but one contractor did not have a state license, so the only qualified bid was from Asplin, who bid on all 11 parcels. Another change in specifications to lower the cost was to require trimming up to at least 15 feet above the power lines rather than ground to sky trimming, which means trees will be trimmed all the way to the top. Morrissey reported that trimming 15 feet above lines mainly could be achieved using workers in bucket trucks. Using a tree climber to cut above 15 feet costs more than using a bucket truck. One advantage in the use of contract is the requirement of the contractor to pick up brush immediately after the work rather than several days later. This should alleviate some complaints. The new contract will cost $79,000 less than the original contract that was proposed in September of 2018. This is a 2.47% decrease. Dick Jordan motion to present the new contract on the next agenda before council on January 15th, seconded by Michelle Eubanks. All committee members are in favor of the motion. They adjourn on 15th.
Thank you, Blake.
Thank you, President. On Thursday, January 11, 2019, a meeting with the Public Safety Committee was held. The mayor, along with Chief Perkins and several Florence Police Department members that were present at the meeting, along with the members of the committee, myself, Andy Betterton, and Michelle Eubanks. The Chief Financial Officer of the City of Florence, Shannon Olive, made a presentation of the findings from PARCA, which basically came down to what was discussed in the work session earlier, which came down to the results of entry-level to mid-level employees of the Florence Fire Department, Florence Police Department, were severely underpaid compared to those similarly situated in other cities. Shannon Olive reported that it would take approximately $1.4 million a year for this funding to be made. a motion was made to send the report to the Finance Committee to evaluate funding. This was a unanimous vote, and it was then sent to the Finance Committee. That's all I have.
Thank you. As I mentioned earlier, Chairman of the Finance Committee, we met on Friday along with Blake Edwards and Katrina Simmons and Mayor and Shannon to discuss ways and look at the options of how to fund the Parker study and our other projects we discussed. And after looking at our different options, we felt like that we needed to go ahead and increase the sales tax 1%. That was our recommendation. It was unanimous, myself, Blake, and Katrina, and we went in and passed it on to the full council. That's all I have. This time we have no public hearings. This time we will have business from the floor pertaining to items on the regular and consent agenda. And I know there's several here before and again, so let's just go ahead and we'll start in this section. Anyone will speak in favor of anything on the agenda?
Mr. President, thank you very much for this opportunity. First of all, I want to thank the men and women from the Florence Police Department, Florence Fire Department who are here. Each of them have a vested interest in this community, and they have every right to be in these seats, be along these walls, so I appreciate them being here. I can tell each and every one of them your presence already is speaking volumes. Regarding Florence Police Department, we are a 110-man sworn police department. Since 2010, we pulled the numbers, we have hired, trained, and equipped 83 new officers. In 10 years, 75% of our department has been hired. Of the 83, 32 of those have already quit and moved on to something else. That's about a 40% turnover rate. The bottom line is nobody wants to be in public safety today. It's a difficult day to serve in this role. You all may not know how many police officers were killed in the line of duty in 2018. All of my folks do. There were 148 officers killed in the line of duty. You may not know how many police officers committed suicide in the year 2018. All of my folks do. There were 159 officers that committed suicide. More killed themselves than were killed in the line of duty. It's a difficult day to be in public safety. I would put any of our police officers and supervisors up against any other police agency in the state of Alabama. Our folks are professional, they're well trained, and they do an outstanding job day in and expectation for these police officers is that if there's an active shooter that's going to arise in this community, each and every one of these guys are going to run to those shots fired. They're going to run to the gunfire and run into that building. Not only that, these guys get there. If they're the only guy that gets there, if they're alone and there's shots fired, these individual officers are going to run in by themselves and they're going to try to stop the gunfire. These firemen behind us, that fire bell rings and the alarm goes off, they're going to run into the next fire and try and save lives. Their families send these policemen and firemen out to our community service every day. But these men and women don't do it for the pay. The reason you come into public safety is because you love the people who are behind you. If you remember in 2016 in Dallas, there's an officer in that active shooter who was famous for telling all the people during the active shooting when they were being shot at, get behind me, get behind me. You know why these police officers are here? It's because they want to put themselves between the people they love behind them, the community members that they serve, and the danger that's in front of them. That's what they do. That's why they're here. But they don't do it for money. But the bottom line is a man deserves an honest pay for an honest day's work. We talked about the Parker study, but I don't think anybody's put numbers to it. I'm going to do that real quick. I just want to throw some numbers out there. Our police officers, can't speak for fire, but our police officers can go 45 minutes to the east, to Athens. They can top out at $6,000 more a year than they can now. Sergeants, they go 45 minutes to the east. It's about $5,000. If you think that the pay study doesn't justify a pay or a sales tax increase, that's the only good news that you're going to hear. City of Dothan, our officers could go down there and top out at $7,000 more. You know what a sergeant can top out at Dothan? $16,000 more than what they make in Florence. They could go down to Tuscaloosa, a little bit to our south. You know what a police officer can top out at more in Tuscaloosa than he does in Florence? $13,665. You know what a sergeant? A lot of our sergeants could go down there, $18,000. This is data from a unbiased third-party study that put these salaries together. It only gets worse. We could have officers go down to Auburn, top out at $17,500 more than these men and women here. I hate saying this because my sergeants are going to take note. They could go to Auburn and make $23,000 more a year with the city of Auburn than they do in Florence. How about going an hour to our east? You're going to love this. Police officers, guys, you could go to the city of Madison and top out at $26,000 more than what they're making with the city of Florence. I don't want to say what the sergeants are going to, but I'm going to. According to the numbers in the Parka study that was provided by an independent third party, a sergeant could go to the city of Madison and make $18 more per hour for a total of $37,000 more per year than what they're making here. There's not a sergeant or an officer at those agencies that are better prepared than these guys. We recognize Drew Harless as the Kiwanis Officer of the Year. The training, years of experience, what he can do, there are few better than some of these guys. We sincerely appreciate every good thought, every word of support, every kind gesture that we get. We genuinely and sincerely we support that. All of those that are extended to us, we're very thankful. But words of support and words of encouragement and nice gestures don't pay these guys' bills. Today, when we sit here tonight, words of encouragement and words of support alone are insufficient. They're going to fall on deaf ears among this group. What we need is a vote from each of you for yes for this measure so you can give these police officers and these firefighters the pay raise that they've earned. Thank you.
Speak for or against anything on the consent agenda, regular agenda. Anyone want to speak for or against? Yes, sir.
Bill Smokes, 2424 Roberts Lane. I want to speak about the sales tax. And before I make my comments, I want to remind the people gathered here, I think it was in October of 2018, I submitted a letter to the Courier-Journal in which I was critical of the Florence City Council for delaying the pay raises for our policemen and firemen. I have a copy, I may have a copy of that letter in my car, I'm not sure. According to the mayor, I take the city's about to fall apart. The mayor started with February 2018. I want to go back. I want to start back. December 2016, Councilman Bradley stated he had met with the police chiefs and that there were some items that needed to be addressed, such as pay. No action in 2016. I have presented this before. This is not the first time. August 24, 2017, this article came out. The police chief stated, we have 26 vacancies now, or that will occur soon. We have become a reactive police force instead of a proactive force. Another quote from Chief Tyler, the bottom line is our officers need a pay raise. And he mentioned no longer performing funeral escorts. And there was also in this article it stated, city departments are going through annual budget hearings in advance of the start of the October 1st, 2017-18 fiscal year. It's not clear whether pay issues will be addressed in the budget. Well, they were not. Nothing was done in 2017 for these gentlemen here and ladies. In February 2018, the council approved a study that was mentioned by the mayor. Member Bradley and Mayor Hope stated the study would take 90 to 120 days. It's taken 300 days. Other than that, nothing was done in 2018. Was there a completion date in this contract? Why did it take so long? If yes, what was the date? If no requirement, why? November 8, 2017, let me back up. There was a vote on a tax increase. 3 members of the council voted against the motion. They said they expect the sales tax to come before the council again, but use it for the $9 million, this 1% will raise. It will have to be more defined. Now, have we actually put a dollar number on how we would spend? This is $9 million a year. I think if we start paving parking lots and doing all this kind of stuff for the new hospital, I think we'd have more money. Also, the prior council provided money for UNA. Hey, I think we should ask for a partial refund. Also, I mentioned at another meeting to get money for these pay raises. Let's sell the Florence Golf Course property.
You have 1 minute remaining.
And then how about the $2 million that was given to the Marriott when we gave up on Veterans Park? The Times Daily article dated January 11, 2019, the mayor says, he's quoted said, Holt said he would like additional action taken by April. The only problem I have is I don't think the citizens were given a fair notice that this was to take place. It wasn't in the Times Daily today. The council may have the authority, but let our citizens make the decision. We have, let's say we have a $60 million budget here in the city. 1.4 million is needed to pay these individuals here. That's 0.001% of the 60 million. What do we have in reserves? Fund the county.
Your time is up.
Thank you, Bill. Anyone else in this section have anything for or against anything on the agenda?
Thank you, Mr. Jordan, President of the Council, and Council members, Mayor, and all these illustrious people that are here tonight. Billy Ray Simpson, 755 Alabama Street. Well, let me speak briefly. I'll get right to the point. General business, a ordinance to increase sales tax by 1% and provide for the distribution of tax proceeds, sponsored by Mayor Holt and Finance Committee. I'd like to say I'm 100% behind this increase in taxes. Somebody might ask why. As a minister staying on the west side of Florence, I like to pray for folks, but sometimes prayer is not enough. And a lot of these guys know me because I call 911 quite often, taking care of our neighborhood and making sure everything is safe. So I'd hate that these young men would have a problem, lack of money, and not be able to successfully, with a good attitude. And most of them, I bet, got real good attitude. That's one thing about Florence police. I guess I'm a little prejudiced because I'm appointed ambassador for the Florence Police Department, but the reason why I stay there, I've been there for 4 or 5 years, is is because of the attitudes, the positive attitudes of our policemen. Not hard-headed, but able to communicate with our citizens. And last resort, you got to enforce. So I'm just elated that these guys, after many years needing this, and I'm saying this because I believe some of this money is going to go toward these firefighters and police officers. That's going to help. I don't know about y'all, but sometimes we do things, ministers and police, we do things after the goodness of our heart because we love people. But when you have a wife or a spouse, or you have children that want the same things everybody else wants, it's kind of downhearted when you have to say, well, we got to stretch things out, But so I appreciate you all today because I know you all gonna do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend. Anyone else in this section? Anyone in the center section want to speak for or against anything on the regular or consent agenda?
Mr. President and members of the Florence City Council, thank you for your service. I am Barry Morris. I live at 102 Briarwood Circle in Florence, and I come to ask you to reconsider this 1 cent sales tax increase. I particularly come to ask that at least one of you vote against immediate consideration for two reasons. One, because I don't think the citizens of Florence have been given adequate notice that this meeting was going to occur in such a momentous decision before the City Council. And a representative is not here because she is ill. And I guess I take that kind of personally because she's my representative and she's not here to voice her concern and those of her constituents. And it may be difficult for her, or any of you, to express the points of view of your constituents, because I don't think any of your constituents knew that, well, some of them knew, but not many of your constituents knew that this item 13A, raising the sales tax by 1 cent, was going to be on the agenda. So the main thing I'm asking is that at least one of you vote against immediate consideration. And as you well know, all that does is puts off the discussion and the vote until the next meeting 2 weeks from now. And I'm just not sure that I understand why it would be very important to call that vote for tonight instead of 2 weeks from tonight. 13 or 14 months ago, when you all considered this move, I went to the financial statements for the city of Florence, and it turned out that 10 years prior to 13 or 14 months ago, general fund revenues were up 30% over that 10-year period, where the consumer price index was only up 19% over that same amount of time. So it's very clear that general fund revenues have more than kept up with inflation. The economy, as we all know, has been booming in the last 14 months. So I imagine that this is even more so today. I would suggest that the city of Florence does not have a revenue problem. It has a spending problem. And it will not take you good people very long to spend that extra $9 or $10 million, and then we'll be wanting more. I particularly want to emphasize that a sales tax is a regressive tax, that it has a much heavier burden to bear by low-income families than by others. And when you think about low-income families spending a disproportionate share of their money on groceries, if you're going to do such a thing to increase the sales tax by 1 cent, is to exempt groceries from that sales tax because of the disproportionate burden that that has on low-income families. So I would conclude by asking, again, very respectfully of you all to postpone this vote for a couple of weeks so that the citizens of Florence and your constituents that you represent can know what you're discussing here and what you're voting on, and can bring to your attention their concerns. And in particular, so out of courtesy to the council member who was ill tonight, and because she is such a wonderful person, that she did not want to come and infect you with her strep throat. Thank you all.
Anyone else in the center section want to speak for or against it?
John Hargett, 1406 Northwood Avenue. You know, the amount of raises we're talking about is not a big part of the city budget. They can be given without raising taxes. Now, I understand some stuff about taxes. Matter of fact, I took a real good course one time. And if there's any of y'all hadn't had it, and I doubt there is, but it was third grade arithmetic. And that helps you understand a lot of stuff about money. Now, the city of Florence in 1989 passed a 1 cent sales tax. It went from 1.5% to 2.5%. And I thought some of the council members at the time were their comments were very interesting. One of them said, "Well, it's just 1%. It's just 1%." I said, "No, it's not just 1%. It's 67%. When you go from 1.5 cents on the dollar to 2.5 cents on the dollar, that's a 67% tax increase." And another one said, "We gotta have this increase." Said, "Everything's going up. We gotta have this increase." And I talked to him on the break. I wish I'd just blurted it out across the room. I said, "Mr. Councilman, don't you know every time stuff goes up, you automatically get a sales tax increase?" So at that time we got a 67% sales tax increase. Now, 5.5, 6 years later, and it's a little bit like tonight, although they did announce it in the paper that morning, this secret deal tonight, I think we very much need a denial of a unanimous consent to vote on this thing, because nobody knew about this that I know of. It wasn't that there was late notice. There was no notice that I'm aware of. Other than maybe people that, it might be somebody in their room that would happen to get on the internet and read the agenda. Now, that was in March of '95. They announced it in the paper that morning and come in past that tax increase that night. And that brought the total that tax increase to date to 133% over that 1.5 cents. Then they had this, they talked about CETA and economic development. The government can no more stimulate the economy than a fish can ride a bicycle. It just ain't gonna happen. They're gonna take enough money out of the private sector. Everything they spending, they take it from the private sector. And as smart as some of you fellas are, I guarantee you're not as smart as the collective wisdom of the free market. Because that money will be spent. It'll just be spent somewhere else where the people want to spend it. And that's what happens in a free country. People spend their own money where they want to spend it. And so that brought 2.5%. That brought another 0.5 cent on. We'd gone from 1.5 to 4 at this point, which is 166% tax increase.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Mr. Morris is right. Y'all don't need a tax increase. You need a spending decrease. And not that these ladies and gentlemen don't need their raise, but that's a very small part of the budget. It's just a matter of getting the priorities proper. And so I appreciate y'all listening to me tonight. I hope you will vote against somebody will vote against unanimous consent, so this thing basically can't be passed in secret again, or passed clandestine. And thank y'all for listening to me.
Anyone else in the center section have any?
I'm Matthew Sorrell. I reside at 1541 Hilton Drive, apartment H160. That's the Ivy Green apartment complex. Unfortunately, my council member cannot be here tonight due to illness, which leaves me unfortunately with no representation. So I'm coming to ask that at least one individual vote against proceeding tonight to increase the sales tax. Personally, I wasn't aware this was going on until this afternoon, which may be by design. If that's the case, that's very shameful. But the reality is, we should have the time for public input on this. It should never be done in a corner. It should not be passed in a sneaky fashion. Also, I want to raise the issue of poverty and what this will do to our court. It's very easy to sit here if you've got good income personally, and most of the people you know in town are well off. But your vote tonight affects the people who are the worst off among us and have the least chance of rising from their current financial status. Upward mobility is something that's important to me. I want to do better personally, financially. And every tax, every regulation that is laid upon people's backs is yet one more straw. As the expression goes, laying straws on a camel's back. And it makes it harder and harder for people to rise. Their disposable income is less and less. It's less money for essential things. It's less money for investments. It's less money for anything that can be used to better oneself. That could be as simple as the gas to go down to the library and buy a book or read a book there to learn about computer programming. You say, this is kind of a ridiculous example, Matthew, but not really. I mean, I completed a few years ago reading a book from a gentleman in another state. He was totally broke. He went and spent some time at his public library. I believe he was reading a book there on computer programming, something like that. Finally wound up building a website, which he eventually was able to sell for $600,000. As bad off as he started, he's no longer poor. I'm not saying that'll happen for everybody, but I think that, what if he couldn't have got there? What if he couldn't have had the gas in the tank to get there? Maybe he had to walk anyway. But at any rate, every time we add an additional layer of taxation, we reduce people's opportunities, their ability to rise, their ability to keep and spend their own money as they see fit, that they took the time to earn. So I think this needs to be more thoroughly considered in regards to police salaries. The numbers I've heard tonight were 1.4 million of increases, but isn't this about a $9 million tax increase? Where's the rest of this going to go? I'm sure it'll find a home. Every dollar always does. But some of the stuff from prior years that I've seen money spent on, I just don't really have any use for. Like the Indian Mound Museum, $1 million is spent. I'll probably never go in the thing, maybe once. There's a lot of stuff that we spend money on that I personally do not use. So in summary, I just ask the council to delay this and to consider the effects of raising taxes, which are going to hurt the poor the most. Thank you.
Anyone else in this session? Sure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Josh Dodd. I reside at 870 County Road 94, but I own a business at 902 Florence Boulevard. It's Gold Guns and Guitars. I just want to rise tonight and say to all of our public safety workers that I'm not opposed to giving you guys a raise one bit. What I am opposed to is gross mismanagement of money by these guys up here. I know the fact is, if you guys get a raise, you'll probably spend it in my store. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to you guys getting a raise. I'm opposed to them mismanaging their money. And another thing I'm opposed to is this putting my business at a competitive disadvantage with those that are in the county. You know, people could just as easily go to a gun store in the county and save themselves, $20 on a $500 purchase. And I know many guys would be willing to do that because most gun guys price shop. That's just the reality of it. Tonight, also, I'd like to bring up the fact that we've got one representative that couldn't be here. She's got strep throat, and one district is not represented. So I think that she needs to be here because it's my understanding that she also provided an amendment for a compromise where we would not raise sales taxes on groceries and hurt the most vulnerable among us. And I think that that's something that should be heard, and that's something that should be debated. And on something with this short of notice, nobody has a chance to debate it. So the fact that we have one representative that's not able to be here tonight due to a health issue is one reason that we need to vote no on immediate consideration and rediscuss this issue in 2 weeks and give y'all a chance to debate this compromise that Michelle has. I think in closing that 2.5% of the city budget redirected to public safety raises for these guys isn't such a big deal. That's not too much to ask. There are plenty of programs to cut from that we could end to give these guys the raise that they deserve for putting their life on the line for us. Thank you.
Anyone else in the center section?
And Roscoe 102 East Oak Hill Drive, and thank you, each of you, for serving as our councilman. I come from a different perspective with a very heavy heart for all of these guys and ladies and gentlemen. We wouldn't have this town without them. But I don't think we need to be discussing a tax increase. I think we need to vote to give them a raise tonight regardless. And then we can do all of these other studies and have all this money to do any study we want to for a streetscape or a parking lot or whatever. Why don't we have a study to find where the money is going that could be used to give them a raise? Vote to give them a raise tonight. They protect us, they guard us. They're like our veterans. They give their life for us. We would not have this town nor the things that we enjoy. There's not a one of us here that would put ourselves into place. If we were, we would be on that force. And they don't do it because of the money. If they did, they wouldn't be here. They do it because they love their job and they serve the people. And I love and appreciate them. Never a car goes by, a fire truck, ambulance, that I don't pray, Lord, please protect them. Give them the strength they need and the encouragement that they need. But how would you feel going to work every day knowing this may be your last minute, and it may be, but I mean knowing that you could be shot or killed by putting yourself in danger. But I'm asking you to forget the sales tax, forget anything, but vote to give them a raise tonight. Just vote the raise in and then find the money and put it where it needs to be. Thank you all for listening. God bless you.
Mr. President, members of the council, I'm Deborah Bell Passover, and I'm appearing before you tonight in my capacity as a citizen and as an attorney and a former judge who's worked with these men and women both in the fire service and the police service over many years. I know their character and their integrity. I know the quality that we are very fortunate to have in this city of their service. And I just want to, first of all, I'm really sorry that apparently some people think that you all have by design created some scheme here to keep people from knowing about this, and that and also that you're guilty of mismanagement. You know, if your constituents are unhappy and think that you're guilty of mismanagement, they have the opportunity to vote you out. As far as I know, the budget is a public record, and if people want to see where every dime is going, they have an opportunity to ask for that. I am against sales tax more than anybody, because it is, as Dr. Morris, I believe, said, it is a regressive tax. But in this state, unfortunately, we have a very regressive tax system. Now, that's the fault of our state leaders, not you all. And I certainly hope that Josh Dodd and Dr. Morris and my close friend Dr. Morris and John Hargett will go to Montgomery and lead the charge for tax reform to get property taxes, which y'all would not be in this position of having to worry about raising sales tax all the time. Now, I'm not asking you to raise sales tax or not raise sales tax. I'm assuming that you all have looked at this, that you have looked at the budget, and you have found that you've got to have another revenue source in order to fund these pay raises and maybe some other things. And I trust y'all to make that decision. If a sales tax is needed, then I'm for it. And I'm so sorry that Councilman Eubanks is sick tonight, but I want to just say that, you know, this is no secret that sales tax increase has been mentioned. It's been mentioned for several years. This is no secret. And guess what? It's not going to get any better 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now or 4 weeks from now. It's not going to get any easier for y'all to make this decision. And for that reason, I mean, I certainly respect the fact that she's not here and she's not here to represent maybe some of her constituents, but at the same time, I mean, it's not a secret. There's no better time. I ask that you not delay it and that you put it for immediate consideration, and that you all will, regardless sales tax, knows whatever, find a way to provide a raise for these fine and deserving public citizens. One more thing I want to point out, and I know that all the people who have spoken here are very aware of this. You know, it's not just about their need for an increase in salary, which they do need that, and it is a huge problem that we are losing. I mean, there's a pipeline, a big drain flowing out where we're losing our good folks that we have invested money into train to these other departments where they can, and you can't blame them for that. But you know, in order for us to be economically competitive and to be with our peer southeastern states, with our peer cities in the state of Alabama, we have to do these things. We have to provide the adequate services that make us attractive for businesses to come. And I know that these gentlemen that have talked about, you know, having business and all that, that's important to them. And so, you know, that the only way that we can offer the amenities to companies looking to locate here is things like the Indian Museum. It's the quality of life, and that includes the fire and police service. Thank you for listening.
Good. Anyone else in the Senate? Not anyone in this section would like to speak for or against?
Thank you, Mr. President, Council, Mayor. I'm Greg Angus. I'm Battalion Chief of the Florence Fire Department. I've been an officer there for about 8 years now, and with the department for around 22 years. I would tell you that probably I would say my address is 402 South Wood Avenue. That's station number 1, because that's where we spend a lot of our time nowadays. Is we're very short-staffed and we work a lot of overtime, and we do that because we know it's essential. We know that we must provide a service for this city, and it is very important to each of these guys. I hope you feel well protected here tonight, because we've got some of the finest men and women in both the police and the fire department. I know most of these by name. I know all of our guys by name, and I know most all of them by face. I would put them up against anyone in this country at their abilities and their willingness to serve. But when they leave and they go somewhere else for higher pay, I can't put them up against any other department in the country because they're no longer with us. One of the things as the battalion chief that I feel is one of my most important jobs is providing the best service that we have in the fire department to our citizens. And when we have people leave, we take that experience somewhere else. And it's very disheartening when we spend a lot of our time in the fire service training people. And it's not necessarily just the ones that's only been there a year or two. We have people that are leaving that have 10 and 12 and 15 years of seniority. And they go for more pay. And we're taking that revenue, they're leaving, they go somewhere else to work, and they're taking their money somewhere else. And we see people that are born and raised in this area, and they want to come and they want to serve, but they also want to provide for their families. And that is one of the things that's very difficult. There's very often times in the police and the fire department that envelopes go around where we have to collect money because someone in our department is in need, and we have to do that quite often. And it's very disheartening to know that we put in a lot of work, we have a lot of training. Our jobs are not just immediately replaceable, because we are very valuable in our training and our experience. But when we take that experience and we carry it somewhere else, it makes my job harder. I know when I was an officer on an engine, most of the time, 15 years ago, you would have 40, 50, 60 years of experience on that engine. Now you're having 20 and 25 years of experience. What does that do? We still have the best guys and women in the fire service here today and the police department. But what does it do when our years of experience go down because people leave? It leaves me with less experience to get the job done, because with experience comes wisdom, and it gets the job done. We put ourselves in lots of very dangerous situations. Police, they carry guns. We don't, and we sometimes are right there behind them, and we're putting our lives on the line. We depend on them to protect us, and they do a wonderful job at it and protect our lives as well. So I'm just here today mainly to let you know, for the public safety and for the safety of our guys, just to give you a little insight, we had 4 people today to interview, and we have 9 spots open. We had 4. 3 of them were from out of town, 1 of them was locally. Why is that? Because they're going elsewhere to work, I believe. And not only that, if we hire all 4 of them, if we pick the best candidates for the job, if we only have 4, we don't have a pool to pick from. So are we getting the best quality of people? And the answer to that is I think we should be competitive and get the very best. Why? To protect the citizens, to protect our firefighters, and to protect everyone that comes into this city, whether it's visitors or residents. We have had some guys in our fire department have worked 40 shifts of overtime in 2018. When I say 40 shifts of overtime in 2018, we're not talking about 8-hour shifts like the normal job. That is 24 hours at a time. We have some guys that work 48 and 72 hours at a time without getting to go home. Why? Because we know the importance of getting the job done and protecting our citizens. And we're going to do what it takes to get it done. But we can only do that so long before it starts pulling against our family lives and our safety, because we're tired. I know popular belief is we just sit around the fire station and we get to sleep, but that is not the case anymore. We make numerous calls, and there's nights that we do not hardly get to lay down and sleep, and we're fatigued and we're stressed, and we need some relief and get more people in. And I believe a pay raise will keep those people that are born and raised in this area and want to stay in this area and work in the area that they were born and raised in. It keeps them going elsewhere to find employment in the career that they want to do business in. So with that, I want to say, just closing, I want to ask that you consider whatever it takes to help us get some increase in pay so we can keep some of our people. I've noticed a lot of people just talking about the pay and the increase in 1.4 million. It's much more than that. We have aging facilities, we have aging equipment, we need safety equipment, we have the police wear vests, we wear air packs, we have all sorts of equipment that protects our lives. And it's not just about 1.4 million, it's about a whole lot more that we need to get us up to par. And I know the chief does very well with the budget that he has, and you do as well, but at some point when the money's not there, we've got to find a way to fund that. And that's what our newer generation is looking for, is who's going to provide them with the best, and that's where they go. And so with that said, I work with a lot of great men and women in both the police and fire department, and I would love to remain working with those people for years to come. And I think one of the ways to do that is to get us a pay increase so we do not lose the other departments. I appreciate your time and appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in this section?
President Jordan, Council, thank you for your time. Mr. Mayor, thank you. My name is Dustin Simmons. I'm a driver, City of Florence. I've been employed since 2010. Pretty much, I feel like I'm going to echo what Chief Tyler and Chief Angus have said tonight. I'll try to keep it short and sweet. I believe we all can agree that the conditions that both police and fire work under are hazardous working conditions. We never know at the start of a shift, start of a tour, if it's going to be our last. We know that at the time of retirement, we're going to have bad knees, bad backs, bad hips. We may not sleep well at night because of the things that we've seen, but we accept that. We know that going in. I think we have earned a pay adjustment. Now, I say pay adjustment because I don't like the word raise. I think when we use the word raise, it means that you did something special. We did nothing special. We do our job. That's what we do every single day. We come to work and we do our job. On the issue of recruitment and retention, I can speak on my behalf. When I was hired in 2010, when the whole issue began, going through all the testing, there was just shy of 100 folks trying to get those 7 positions. This last year, I think we had less than 20. We don't have the same number, so it only takes a few times to scrape in the bottom of the barrel before your luck runs out. On the issue of retention, we're losing good employees to better paying jobs. I wish I had numbers, and I wish I could tell you exactly who we've lost, but to be honest with you, I think we would leave some people out because we're losing that many on a yearly basis. And it's not only just a first-year employee. We're losing lieutenants with upwards of 20 years going to a better-paying job. It's unacceptable. I believe that we need to have comparable rates with other fire departments with similar size. That's an important issue. Most of us, I can only speak for the fire department, most of us at the fire department have second and third jobs just so we can raise our family and make ends meet. And like Chief Angus said, we're working 24, 48, 72 hours at a time, overtime, because we know that the job calls us to do that. It's not only, going into structure fires, car wrecks, medical calls. We do this every single day, no matter what happens. So on my last note, I'll leave you with this. So 24 hours a day, when the bell rings, we're expected to solve someone's worst problem. But I ask you, when we have a problem and we need help, who do we call on? I believe that's you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Jordan, Mayor, Council. I'm Kevin Darby. I'm 13 years in the fire department. I'm a driver engineer, and I'm here to speak on some of the same things that these guys have spoke about. Some of it's redundant, but you know, we don't get this chance very often, and I think it's time that we take advantage of this opportunity. And I just want to go over where some of the real things that these guys and these ladies deal with when they go home. A new firefighter comes in to work here. He has a family. I can't speak on the PD, but these guys come in with a family. They get insurance through the city, which is a fantastic benefit. When they get their check and they walk in their door at home, at the end of the year, $23,000. I heard someone speaking earlier about buying groceries. Some of these guys cannot even buy groceries on what they're making. And I generally do not think the citizens really know what these checks look like. My own father, the first time I got a check from the city, he asked me how much it was. It was $542 for 2 weeks. It was embarrassing, but I loved it, the fact that I had a job with the city. I was willing to sacrifice a little bit of money and work another 40 hours on the side to be able to have this job and these benefits. Some of the things we're facing, we've talked about, is retention. I've just got a few numbers here just from 2016 to present. We've hired 20 people, 2016, 17, and 18 total. 10 of those guys remain. I think some of the guys, I think Chief said it earlier, we had 4 interviewed for 9 positions today. You know, like I do, when you're interviewing 4 people for 9 positions, you're probably not getting the best 4. You know, if you've got 25 interviewing for 9 positions, you're probably getting the best 9. But we're not in that state anymore. We've got a problem, and I think everybody knows that at this point. That's why we're here. One of the biggest things about the fire service, and I'm sure the police service is the same way, I think the most of the men and women that in this line of work, we're proud people. You know, we kind of, you know, you're proud of what you do. You like to tell people what you do, and you should, because it takes a lot of work and a lot of dedication to be committed to this. But we also feel like the increased stress and the scrutiny of the 2 jobs that we're under right now with the media the way it is, and bad things have happened in this country, and the changing and the training and the education that you got to have, we have at some point got to bring the pay to where it's expected to be to do these type jobs, or we're going to continue to lose some of the best men and women right here out of this city traveling to other cities to work. And we've got the main problem. You ask them on the way out the door, exit interviews, I'm quite sure we hear about pay. That's probably the top problem. And we have the opportunity, and that's all we can ask for. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else in this section? No, thank you. Bob, if you'll go ahead and go over and send it in.
All matters listed within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member of the Florence City Council for reading and study, are considered to be routine, and will be enacted by one motion of the council with no separate discussion. If separate discussion is desired, that item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda by request. Item A is approval of the minutes of the January 3rd, 2019 meeting. Item B, confirm payment of bills by the city treasurer. Item C is a resolution to approve a contract with Asplund to provide labor, equipment, materials, and incidentals necessary for line clearance for the Florence Utilities Electricity Department, the amount of $3,136,369 to be paid from budgeted funds, account number 571.10, maintenance of overhead lines, sponsored by Richard Morrissey. Item D is a resolution to approve a contract with Lambert Ezel Durham Architecture, LLC, the amount of $11,199 for architectural designs for remodeling Station Number 1 at 402 South Wood Avenue, to be paid from budgeted funds, account number 117-42200, sponsored by Jeffrey Perkins. Item E is a resolution to approve a contract with J.C. Hammond Sons Incorporated to provide labor, equipment, materials, and incidentals necessary to repair the existing HVAC air handler unit at the Cypress Creek wastewater plant in the amount of $4,814.60 to be paid from budgeted funds, account number 651, structure maintenance, sponsored by Mike Doyle. Item F is a resolution to approve an invoice from Certified Alarm Company of Alabama for installation of an intrusion detection alarm system at the Florence Police Department Training Center in the amount of $1,247, sponsored by Ron Tyler. Item G is a resolution to advance and reimburse travel expenses to city employees, sponsored by Mayor Holt.
Thank you, Bob. I hear a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Felton, second by Mr. Edwards. All in favor of the motion?
5-0, motion carries. Item A under the regular agenda is an ordinance to lease Suite 506 in the Florence Lauderdale Government Building to Jared Beavis and Joseph Britt for a term of 1 year commencing on February 1st, 2019 and ending on January 31st, 2020, in the amount of $9,500, sponsored by Shannon Olive.
I hear a motion for immediate consideration. Second. Motion immediate consideration, Ms. Simmons, second Mr. Bradley. All in favor of the motion?
5-0.
Do I hear a motion for the adoption? Motion for the adoption, Ms. Simmons, second by Mr. Bradley. Any discussion? Not all in favor of the motion?
5-0, motion carries. Item A under general business is an ordinance to increase sales tax by 1% and provide for the distribution of tax proceeds, sponsored by Mayor Holt and the Finance Committee.
Do I hear a motion for immediate consideration?
So moved.
Second.
Motion immediate consideration, Mr. Bedford, second by Mr. Edwards. All in favor?
5-0.
Do I hear a motion for the adoption?
So moved.
I'll second that motion. Any discussion?
Mr. President, by way of discussion, just going to say that I've gotten several calls over the past year since the original vote that took place on this some time ago. It was at that time that I, along with a couple other council members, voted no in reference to this. I felt that we needed some more time to evaluate it and have a study done. In that time, a study was performed. That study took far longer than what was expected, but it did come out with a result that I anticipated. And that was that our firefighters and police officers were severely underpaid. In that time, I received more and more calls in reference from constituents in my district and people from outside the district, and even people from outside the city, lived in Culver County and so forth, to address issues that we were having with failing infrastructure, and the lack of quality resources that we were having. So when looking at this, there was never a point where I had made up my mind whether to be for or against, but to evaluate everyone that had come forward and spoke their mind to me. So to me, this was not a new thing. This was a can that had been kicked down the road partially by me to make sure that I wasn't putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. And the bullet wound was that everyone was severely overpaid, and I did not want to see, and I'm sure that some of you guys can remember me saying this, I did not want to stick a small pay raise or something on there just to appease you for the moment. I received widespread criticism in reference to that. But I felt like the measure that I had taken in approving, or should I say, wanting to do a study, would benefit these firefighters and police officers in the long run, and that something for sure would be put in place, such as a public safety scale. And I do believe that is at the forefront, but we do not need to forget in this motion about our dwindling resources and our infrastructure when thinking and considering about passing a sales tax.
Any other discussion? I agree with Councilman Bradley. This isn't just about an increase for the fire and police department, although it's proven that it's greatly needed. But it's also about our infrastructure. And we got roads falling apart. Y'all know, y'all drive on them. I mean, it's tearing up equipment that's driving on the roads. That's a major problem. We've got assets in our community, in our city, we can't take care of. We got a library. It's a state-of-the-art library. It has been, and it's still a good library. But if we don't fund the necessary resources of keeping it upgraded and keeping the structure sound, we're going backwards. Folks Tavern about to fall down. That Carstner house on Pine Street is falling down. If we don't take care of what we got, we're going backwards, and we don't have the funds to take care of it. Our department heads have done a magnificent job. It burns me up when I hear that there's mismanagement in the city of Florence. I mean, basically, you're calling me a thief. Now, two things: don't call me a liar, don't call me a thief. You can call me a lot of other stuff, and people have, I guess. That's okay. But they have done a yeoman's job of keeping the city going. They have a request every year of what the equipment they need for the next budget, and it's scratched off because we don't have the money to do it. Why don't we go ahead and give y'all a big raise? Sure, give y'all a big raise. Don't increase. Where's the money coming from? Write a bad check. I know if I write a check and there's not any money in my checking account, I know what happens. I get charged $35, the check goes back. This town, this city, we've got to be smarter than what we do. We've got to be able to fund the things that we have. And we don't have the money right now to do that. But if we increase our sales tax, I hate increasing sales tax. That's the last thing I want to do. Increase fees, increase taxes. But it comes a time, and we've been talking about this as long as I've been on the council, about 6 years, the general fund has been breaking even. There's no money to do anything extra. This gives us the opportunity to fix things that need to be fixed, including increases for fire and police. Y'all do stuff I could never do. I admire each and every one of you. I know every time, if I was a policeman, I wouldn't pull anybody over. Let them go down. I don't know what I'm faced when I get out of the car. The alarm goes off. I don't want to climb on a building that's on fire or go in a house that's on fire. Y'all are a first-class group of people, very professional. I can't say enough of what y'all do. So we've got to support y'all. We've got to take care of problems that we have, give y'all the best equipment that we can, the best training that's out there. That's what it's about. But we can't do it because we don't have the money to do it. but this gives us the opportunity to do that. And I'm proud to support this, even though it's not, people don't like taxes, but it comes a point in time, we've got to do something. We've got to take care of our employees, we've got to take care of our assets. I like my leaves picked up. I like to rake my leaves of the street. Well, come a point in time, we don't have the money to do it, so we have to stop that. Maybe pick up garbage every other week instead of once a week, because the money's not there. It's just a lot of things that we've got to do. We've been running on a thread for a long time, and it's time to get over it. Let's pass this and move on and take care of the things that we've got, and pave some streets. Thank you.
I do like to reiterate what Mr. Blake over here.
Blake Edwards. I remember my name. I used all those Pink Panther movies. I still can't remember my name.
I did that.
Y'all old enough to know about Pink Panther, probably.
Seriously, we have been talking nonstop since I've been on the council about infrastructure. Some of these buildings we have been in place for many, many years. It's ongoing. As Mayor Frost once said, it's really easy to build something that's real hard to maintain it. And I think we're faced with some huge issues out there, and Mayor Hope certainly outlined a number of them, including the fire department facilities as well as the police department. I serve on the public safety committee. I think we spent a good bit of time, probably too much time, but we got the job, I think, done. Wish we could have done it sooner. I look around this room, and I know Chief Tyler said, talk's cheap, but I know that as I represent citizens, which I'm humbled to do, I hear stories all the time about families that are in need of safety, whether it's a break-in, all kinds of issues, where it's a health issue. And I know for a fact that y'all are going to be there when we need it. And when you are, it doesn't matter what it costs. We need you to be there. And I applaud you every single day, and I'm certainly glad to support this today. And we've got much talk, much communication we have to do as we move forward on trying to solve some of these other issues. But we're going to start with fire and police. Thank you.
Ms. Simmons.
Yes, sir. I just want to thank each one of you for all what you do for the safety of our citizens and for the city. And I didn't take this lightly. A lot of thought. I really haven't rested since Friday, since all this have come up again, but I didn't take it lightly. Myself, I work with human resources, so I understand that the talent to hire someone is really scarce right now. It's hard. We're in a time now that people will leave for $1. So I understand that the loyalty is not there. So I understand the struggles, and Chief Tyler, I know I call him all the time for situations, and I do appreciate that. So it's a lot. I'm elected, and I know sometimes you feel like we hear all these things about us. We don't make popular decisions about what you think, but there's a lot go into this components. I just don't take it lightly. I weigh everything out. I did my research, and I'm just here to support you, and I appreciate all that you do. So thank you.
I guess that's one of the disadvantages of being president of the council. There's so many positive things that I follow up with. But thank Chief, I appreciate all the support, and I appreciate all the nice words that each one of you said. I think Chief Angus said it best. He said it's just more than salaries, and it is. But it starts with the salaries. The Parker study shows how underpaid you are and overworked, firemen and policemen, plus the vacancies. I remember when I first got elected, there was a waiting list. A waiting list for the police and the fire. And now you have to wait to find an applicant. So it's changed, and a big part of that is your salaries. And hopefully we're going to correct part of that tonight. The other part of that is is your equipment. They talk about body cameras. We need those. Police cars. Somebody said one of the police cars had over 200,000 miles on it. I don't believe anybody wants to drive in, especially a public safety vehicle. I know our trucks. We bought 2 or 3 fire trucks last year, and some of them are back in repair now. So we need new fire equipment. Just on the agenda today, we passed a resolution for certified alarm for $1,500, I believe, for a certified alarm out of the training center. We have, where you work. You don't want to go into the dilapidated rundown building where you work and look at some of the police department down there. Look at some of the fire departments. They need to be fixed. And when you get off, you want to go to a facility that you can be proud of. Your pools, your parks. Veterans Park is falling down. You got some of your pools that haven't had any work done in 50 years. You want to drive your vehicles, your fire trucks on streets that don't have potholes in them where you tear your trucks and your cars up. So it's a vicious cycle. But somebody said, been worried about this and couldn't sleep. This is the easiest vote I believe I've ever made in my, I won't say how long, as long as I've been on this council. And that's to support the police and the fire and the city and the rest of the employees, the utilities, your streets and sanitation, all general fund. So this is a good beacon and a good place to start. And I really appreciate y'all coming in. I support y'all 100%. If no other comments, all in favor of the motion, please raise their hand. Hey, Bob, would you repeat that? I didn't hear that.
5-0, motion carries.
Thank you. Yeah.
Now that we passed it, can we get some heat in this room? I have about 3 minutes.
Okay, item B is a resolution is alcohol beverage license application for the operation of a full menu restaurant with on-premises beer and wine by Brown Rice 888 Corporation, doing business as Rice Box, located at 1529 Northwood Avenue, sponsored by Robert M. Leidy.
Did I hear a motion for immediate consideration?
So moved.
Second. Have a motion by Mr. Patterson, second by Mr. Brandon. All in favor of the motion?
5-0.
Did I hear a motion for the adoption?
Second.
Motion to adoption, Mr. Bradley, second. Mr. Brandon. Any discussion? Not all in favor of the motion?
5-0, motion carries. Item C is a alcohol beverage license application for the operation of a specialty menu restaurant with on-premises beer and wine and off-premises beer and wine by Sweet Basil, Alabama Incorporated, doing business as Sweet Basil Cafe, located at 1627 Darby Drive, Suites A and B, sponsored by Robert M. Leidy.
Did I hear a motion for immediate consideration?
Second.
Motion immediate consideration from Ms. Simmons, second by Mr. Bradley. All in favor of the motion?
5-0.
Hear a motion for adoption?
Second.
Motion adoption, Mr. Bradley, second by Mr. Betterton. Any discussion? Not all in favor of the motion?
5-0, motion carries. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Bob. We have several board openings on the average business board. I think we all agreed to reappoint Michelle Jones. Beautification, we have a vacancy in tree commission. We have a vacancy. This time we'll have business from the public with a 5-minute time limit. Anyone here?
thank you, Mr. Jordan. Billy Ray Simpson, 755 West Alabama Street. Y'all, I'm sorry. You know what? I forgot to say Happy New Year. A lot of y'all I hadn't seen this year, so it's always great to see y'all. Turn my mic off up here. You know, I really hate to disagree with Mr. Morris, because me and Mr. Morris, we tight. But I just had to disagree. We disagree sometimes, but you know what? We never lose friendship. You can tell good-hearted people when you disagree with them, they still your friend. So we thank God for the friends we have. Now, Mr. Hargis, you know all that money you got, what in the world is you talking? He got more money than... But anyway, if it wasn't so serious, it would become laughable when I can hear certain people talking about helping the poor. But anyway, I'm not going to elaborate. I believe that taxes help everybody, especially when money is put in the right hands. Some of y'all been looking at too much TV. I just think y'all been looking at TV, what they doing way up in Washington. But this ain't Washington here. These people right here, they do with the money what's need to be done. This is a small city. Anything, you know, you find out things pretty quick around here, you know. But if you got somebody to rotten apple, you're going to find out pretty quick. Y'all don't know nothing about these folks. These some good folks here. So I appreciate the vote tonight, and we're going to see some of these potholes and some of these people that are really poor. I believe I'm the poorest person in here. I probably make less money than anybody, but I'm rich. I'm rich. And don't I look rich, y'all? Okay. But anyway, increasing taxes is not going to hurt us at all. Not when you're rich in Christ Jesus. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend. Anyone else? If not, again, thank you for coming tonight, and let's all stand for the benediction, please.
Did you skip this section, sir? You didn't go to this section. I do have something else to say.
I'm sorry.
But my deepest fears are already coming true. This is about the policemen and the firemen's race and their equipment and the things that are needed for them. We need some way to earmark a certain amount to go directly to them. If this all goes in the general fund, yeah, it'll be put out everywhere else. Everybody can spend it on everything. But these guys and their equipment and their departments have to have priority. Please take note and make sure that we get some kind of a percent or some kind of something in writing, an amount that will go directly to them to stop this from happening, so it can be retroactive and even go forward and keep our guys in payment, our equipment to be what, let that be the priority. Yeah, this other stuff may be great, but we were here tonight because of our policemen and our firemen and our first responders. And I pray you'll really consider doing that number one and put that as priority and make sure that that part is set aside, so there will be a fund there that this won't happen again 2 years down the road or 5 years down the road, and we'll kick the can again. And we'll need another sales tax. We've already passed the sales tax, so that part's behind us. But we need that earmarked so that they will have what they need and their families will not have to suffer and do without a person being at home because they have to have second, third jobs or whatever. Thank you again.
Thank you. As I mentioned earlier today, and I think Mr. Brad has comments, is that we at our finance committee meeting said that we wanted to start this raise effective April 1. So we have good mayor, and I'm sure he's going to make sure that's been done, so that has been set aside. So.
And yes, Ms. Broadfoot, as a point of order, and usually for the people that don't understand, when the public gets up here, usually city council members aren't able to address them, and it's not being rude, it's just part of the process. So in that has always been a fear of mine. We have spoken on many occasions. Raising taxes is a loathing thing for me. It's a gut-wrenching thing. Other people may think, oh, he's up there doing this and that and the other, but anybody that knows me knows that this was a hard thing to do, except for the raised portion. It's taken me a year to evaluate these things. So the first question that I had, and what I've been trying to evaluate and put into my mind, if this ever came up again over the past year, and since I voted no on that last time, was getting with our CFO, Shannon Olive, and he assures me that the process is in place to get this done, and this, to me, will be the first thing, or I will not vote for a thing until this is done first. So.
And for he'll bring to us we call it budget amendment, which will be an amendment to the budget that we've already passed, changing where we're given salary increases. That will be done.
Trying to get on the next, I think our next meeting's in 3 weeks. I think that this is a long month,
Yeah.
so I'll have it on there by then.
At this time, we'll have anyone else from the public. I'm sorry I didn't miss you. Anyone else? If not, we'll have council member reports. Ms. Eubanks is not here. Councilman Evans.
Pretty well said what I was going to say earlier. If we didn't pass a 2% raise, I would not be able to look at any of y'all in the face. And basically, I'd just lie to every one of y'all that's not going to happen. So anyway, I thank y'all for what you do. I thank all of our city employees. Our electricity department, power goes out, I don't have to worry about being out on the power that day, although I was one time when the pole blew down in my yard. But they they worked tirelessly to get power turned on. The street department, our employees do so much for our city and for our citizens. And I'm just thankful we are able to support each and every one of y'all as y'all support us. Thank y'all very much.
Well, I guess nothing to apologize to Blake Edwards, but he has to remember it's been 47 years since we sat together in band up at UNA, so I guess that's brain drain. But seriously, one thing I did want to mention in this, and at least 2 of these officers have left, a program that I'm very supportive of that we participate in is our SRO program. I can't begin to tell you how important that is in our community to our students. I know at least 2 officers here who impacted my grandson very much, and I thank them for what they do and what they reach out. And my grandson needed a knot jerked in his tail, and Benny Johnson sure did that. And every time he comes back to town, 2 things he's got to do: got to go to Bunyan's for a barbecue, and he's got to go by and see Benny Johnson. So that's a personal story, and I'm sure we could help lots and lots of stories like that. Thank you again.
Thank you. Ms. Simmons.
Again, I just want to thank you all for what you do. I do care. I care about the city, and I care about my constituents, even though sometimes you don't understand the decisions that I have to make. But I've been elected, and I hope that you entrust me to do what is right. I don't take it lightly, so thank you again.
Mr. Bradley.
Yes, sir. And I share the sentiments of Ms. Simmons as well. It's easy to vote in a pay adjustment, and I like that wording, pay adjustment for great, wonderful people. It's hard to sit back and tell citizenry that their taxes are going to go up, or their sales tax are going to go up on things that they need. It's a difficult thing to do. I don't take it lightly. It's something that I've kept up, stayed up nights over before, way in the past. I've had great conversations with people that I consider friends, agreeing to disagree at times, and less cordial at others. in situations like this when I'm having to explain to them that when I get into office, it's not the unicorns and rainbows that you think it's going to be, but all the things that are coming down the line. Somebody comes to you and says, "Oh, we got $1 million problem over here that's got to be fixed," and then you're looking at money over here, and somebody says, "Well, why don't you quit funding this over here?" Well, then you don't have the votes over here to stop funding this because there's more people that want it. So it comes down to the citizens want so many things. They want things funded, yet a lot of people don't want to pay for it. That's wherein lies compromise. I do believe that the city in the past, I have to agree with the statements made that I do believe the city has made some missteps when it comes to spending. I was elected to do the best job that I could with no promises other than that I would try my best. And in my everyday capacity as an attorney, that's exactly what I tell my clients. I make no promises for an outcome except for that I promise you to do my best. And my promise is to do the best job that I can at being a good steward of the money that the citizens pay in taxes. And I don't always agree. This has not been a yes council. There has been many discussions with people on this council. There's times where me and some other council members have totally disagreed to the point of not speaking probably for a couple of months because of idealism. But at the end of the day, we have to get along to discuss other matters that come before us, because that is how the city moves forward. We're facing a dire situation in our country today because people don't talk anymore. They quit talking because you disagree with them. We have to get over those things. As Americans, we're all here and we're in this together. And no, it wasn't just, it's an honor to be able to vote on a measure that increases an adjustment for people that are more than deserving of it. But that is a huge tip of the iceberg in what we've done tonight. So I hope that it turns out well. I will do everything that I can to ensure that the money is spent on my watch ethically and with the utmost regard to the citizens. So, again, Happy New Year, everyone, and God bless you all.
I have no more comments. I think our votes is all the comments I need. That, Edward, please stand for the invocation.
Let us pray. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we just again come to you tonight thanking you for the many blessings that you've given to us. Thank you for the city in which we live. Thank you for city employees that take care of us, for our first responders, our police and fire departments. Protect them, Father, as they protect us. Just watch over us, watch over our city, guide us and lead us. And thank you for all that you've done for us. In Jesus' holy name, amen. Amen.